What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Monday, March 7th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have an 8-game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the point guard position. So I got a stud that I like on this slate. I like Trae Young from Atlanta Hawks playing the Detroit Pistons, who have the 6th worst defense overall. They give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Trae Young has averaged 49.2 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 35% usage rate. He's projected at 51 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's 10,200 FanDuel salary, 500 less on DraftKings. 500 less on FanDuel, 10,200 DraftKings salary. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 227.5 points scored in this game. And Trae Young has scored 43, 68, and 43 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 37, and 37 minutes. Now, I like this pick because it's a great matchup, and Trae Young has scored 53 and 66 fantasy points in his last 2 games versus the Pistons. So I like Trae Young here versus the Detroit Pistons. Now I've got a couple of value plays at the point guard position. High risk, high reward plays. But take a look at Emmanuel quickly. Now he is on a back-to-back, but his last 2 games, he scored 47 and 30 fantasy points, playing 28 and 26 minutes, and he's only 4,200 FanDuel salary and 100 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 229.5 points scored in this game, so I think he's an interesting value play. And another value play, super cheap. Now, this guy can definitely kill your lineup, but he's just so cheap that he doesn't need much to hit value. So take a look at Corey Joseph from the Detroit Pistons playing the Atlanta Hawks, who have the 10th worst defense overall, give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Corey Joseph has averaged 18.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 25 minutes per game with a 14% usage rate. He's projected at 19.3 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.4 times value. He's only 3,600 DraftKings salary. He's 100 less on FanDuel, and he scored 12, 22, and 11 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 27, 32, and 15 minutes. So I just like this pick because if he is going to play 27 to 32 minutes like he did in his last 2 games, I think he's got a great chance at hitting value here. He could put up 20 plus fantasy points and crush value. So I like Corey Joseph as a high risk, high reward value play here versus the Atlanta Hawks. There's a lot of high risk, high reward value plays that I like. You got Delon Wright for 3,200. He played 25 minutes last game. You got Shake Milton for 3,100. He played 24 minutes last game. But I think Corey Joseph would be my favorite super low salary point guard value play. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing.
We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Zach LaVine from the Chicago Bulls playing the Philadelphia 76ers, who have a good defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing shooting guards. Zach LaVine has averaged 39.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 29% usage rate. He's projected at 40.3 fantasy points here tonight. I think he can score 42 fantasy points or more, get you 5 times value or more. He's 8,300 DraftKings salary, 600 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 229 points scored in this game. And Zach LaVine has scored 52, 38, and 33 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 38, 34, and 32 minutes. So he's playing plenty of minutes. He scored 47 and 40 fantasy points in his last 2 games versus the 76ers. He's got legit 50-plus fantasy point upside. I like that price tag of 8,300 and 600 less on FanDuel. So I like Zach LaVine here versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Harrison Barnes from the Sacramento Kings playing the New York Knicks, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing small forwards, also eligible at the power forward position. Harrison Barnes has averaged 30.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate. He's projected at 31.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's 6,000 DraftKings salary, 400 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 229.5 points scored in this game. And Harrison Barnes has scored 22, 38, and 29 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 38, 38, and 30 minutes. So I like that he played 38 minutes the past 2 games. And I think the price is right here on DraftKings. So I like Harrison Barnes here versus the New York Knicks. Okay, now another small forward that I like. A little bit more risk here, but I like the matchup. And he's playing a ton of minutes. And he's certainly got the upside. So take a look at DeAndre Hunter from the Atlanta Hawks playing the Detroit Pistons, who have the 6th worst defense overall. They give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. DeAndre Hunter has averaged 21.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. But just take a look at his last 3 games. Look at how many minutes he's playing. He played 34, 36, and 37 minutes the last 3 games. Put up 33 fantasy points last game. So he's got that 30-plus fantasy point upside, but he only needs about 24 fantasy points or more to get you 5 times value because he's 4,700 DraftKings salary, 300 less on FanDuel. So I like this guy playing a bunch of minutes for under 5K in a great matchup in a pretty high scoring game. So I like DeAndre Hunter here versus the Detroit Pistons.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. I like Tobias Harris from the Philadelphia 76ers playing the Chicago Bulls, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 11th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Tobias Harris has averaged 34.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He's projected at 34 fantasy points here tonight. That's just about 5 times value. He's 6,900 DraftKings salary, 300 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 229 points scored in this game. Tobias Harris has scored 31, 23, and 28 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 37, 37, and 29 minutes. So his production has come down a little bit, but if he's going to play 35 plus minutes, he's got that 40 plus fantasy point upside. I like Tobias Harris under 7K in a somewhat high scoring game here, or a pretty high scoring game. So I like Tobias Harris here versus the Chicago Bulls. Okay, moving on to the center position. My gosh, Nikola Jokic put up 94 fantasy points last game. Now, last game was the game to play Jokic. He played 42 minutes, and he's on a back-to-back. So I would be careful of this pick. He's 12,600 FanDuel DraftKings salary, so he's super expensive on the back-to-back, coming off of that monster game where he played a ton of minutes. So I'm probably not going to play the Joker here tonight. If I'm going to go with a stud at the center position, I like Karl Anthony Towns from the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the Portland Trailblazers, who have the 8th worst defense overall, give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Karl Anthony Towns has averaged 47.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 28% usage rate. Now, I think he can score 52 fantasy points or more, get you 5 times value or more. He's 10,600 DraftKings salary, 1,400 less on FanDuel. Vegas has this as the highest scoring game on the slate, 235.5 points scored in this game. So this would be a good game to stack. Definitely want to get a piece of this game. Karl Anthony Towns has scored 70, 42, and 52 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 25, and 32 minutes. And he's got good player versus team history here. He scored 70 and 51 fantasy points in his last 2 games. So I like Karl Anthony Towns here versus the Portland Trailblazers.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.